welcome to Artists at Work. I'm Carol Medhurst. C.S. Lewis once said, "Friendship is unnecessary. Like philosophy or art, it has no survival value, but rather by it, everything else makes it very valuable." And our next guest is a painter of survival, friendship, and value. Let's please meet the talented Judy Takacs. Yay, Judy!
Yay. Nice to meet you.
A round of
even though
applause.
I've known you for years and years now.
And you're a second-time guest on our show.
That's right.
I think it's lovely that you really do paint not just people. You're known as a painter of people, but you do paint friendship, value, and survival. You have many, many, many stories with your artwork.
And that's what my Chicks with Balls project is all about.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Your ongoing Chicks with Balls, now in third year in the making?
It's actually longer than that. I started in 2009, I started painting them, and in 2007 I started thinking about it.
Okay.
It's been cooking since 2007.
For a long time.
Yeah.
Has this kept you awake at night, many nights?
You know, quite often, and a lot of times, because I write a blog about it, about the stories of all the different women that I've asked to pose for me, a lot of times when I feel like painting, I need to write. And when I feel like writing, I need to paint.
That's
and so
great.
the painting and the writing kind of go together.
Yes.
Sometimes when I ask a woman to pose for me, I already kind of have the blog written in my brain. Because I know her story before I've actually sat down and painted
And
it.
you,
like yours, I have one for you.
Yeah. I have quite the
You just have to come and pose.
I know, I know.
Here are some of the ball choices.
Okay. Maybe, stay tuned.
Little gumballs.
Yes, but you know, she has written a beautiful book, and you have the larger one here.
This is the big version, and there's a smaller, more price to sell version.
Yes, but you know, you are just living the legacy from your mother. Your mother was a novelist?
Yes, she still is.
Yes,
Still is, yes.
still is.
She's
Dalma.
doing, yes. In fact, if we can go totally out of order, I will show you her painting. Her painting is called Mother, I Love You.
Yes.
And
what is her story? She's a very attractive woman, by the way.
Yes, she is. She is 81 now, and she has she's been a writer her whole life. She's an English professor, writer, and she just has this wonderful way of thinking about stuff. I mean, she planted a lot of the seeds in me with the writing,
Yes.
and it was. She finally did agree to pose for me.
Yes.
And when she posed, she had not yet gotten her diagnosis for ovarian cancer. A few months later, she actually did, and it was a major thing. But she's, right now, knock on wood, doing really well.
She's doing well,
and she's very healthy, and she's able to do everything that she's been doing.
Now let's
gone through the whole chemo and everything.
I want to say, and I like how you entitled this painting, Mother, I Love You.
Yeah.
It's wonderful. Now, because you are very much of an extrovert, I think. I don't know, maybe you're shy inside somewhere.
At some point, I sort of switched over and became the extrovert.
But yeah, you seem to have a gregarious, fun, natural way in life. You view life as just a challenge. Now, I'm putting words in your mouth. I don't know.
Yeah, no, that's true.
But
that's true.
when you meet people, it's natural that you want to know them. You want to know their story.
Yeah.
So as an artist who paints, a mother who writes, and you have the talent for writing, all these things come together. They seem to come together so well.
Yeah, it does. It does work. Also, in the Midwest, there's a sort of a mindset with art. Why would I want to hang up a painting on my wall of a person that I don't know? Well, get to know my chicks.
Yes.
Each one of them, there's a very, small, medium, or large story.
Well, real quickly for the viewers, Chicks with Balls. Now that has a little hidden, it's not so much of a hidden meaning, but but this means we don't come fully dressed, correct?
Yeah. Basically, the whole concept behind the Chicks with Balls is that so many of us women are dealing with all kinds of struggles and with courage, with quiet, unsung heroism. The subtext of Chicks with Balls is Judy Takacs paints unsung heroes. That sort of brings it back into the PG realm, because I have run into situations where Chicks with Balls is too racy. The words are too racy, or the concept is too racy. Like I can't put it in the subject line of an email.
Yes.
When I send it in as a mass email in the subject line, it doesn't get to where it's going.
Well, we have so much to talk about because in reading your book, there were a lot of good points for any painter to glean and think about. How to get started, where do you go from starting to you're not finished by any means.
Nope, it's a living, growing, continuing project.
Yes. But now let's jump into this real quick. This
Okay.
beautiful red painting right behind us.
And this one is called Blazine, A Heart of Gold. And this is one of my later pieces. When I did this one, I had already done probably about 25 of them, of different ones with the white backgrounds.
Right.
And this was for my second set after I had the debut show of Chicks with Balls. Was at Bay Arts
2013?
last summer, 2013. Yes, at Bay Arts in
Very
Bay Village.
successful, I should say. She had a huge crowd.
Yes,
it
was very crowded, and we got some press coverage, and so I was real happy with all of that. Then when I came back, I knew that I was going to keep working on it.
Right.
Blazine was one of the first people that I had that actually volunteered, sort of sight unseen.
Now, I'm sorry, this lady's name?
Her name is Blazine, which is a wonderful name.
Yes, because the balls are blazing. The whole painting is just
exactly
vibrant.
And I wanted to find out what we met on Facebook. Basically, we had some mutual friends. She's from the area, so she's local. And she volunteered to pose, and I said, "That's great." It was like before Christmas, and everything was all crazy. I was like, "Well, I'll catch up with you in January, and when I start back at them." And she said, "No, I need to pose now."
Ooh.
And I knew that she was going through cancer, so I was really scared that that there was a reason why she needed to pose now.
Right.
Fortunately, the
Right.
reason why she needed to pose now was because she was going through chemo right now, and she was bald right now. In the spring, she was going to have the reconstructive surgery. She had had a full double mastectomy. But she looked at it as, and a lot of the women do this, they look at it as sort of this empowerment kind of a thing, this empowerment definitive sort of, I'm going to make a statement.
Yes.
And
I was going to
I'm
say,
taking charge of this.
This is, sometimes I don't like to use the word therapy, but this is more than therapy. This is a meaningful stage and time in her life, and she's documenting it.
Right,
And you are a
exactly,
part of that.
exactly.
And there's a healing process, I'm sure, that goes on because you're sharing ideas, you're sharing deep, dark, maybe they're not secrets, but feelings, emotions.
Right, exactly. We always get into nice discussions, and I never push people to well, so what's the reason?
No,
What's
I know
the
you
reason?
don't.
Because, just posing in and of itself is courageous.
This is
even
a
if you've
vulnerable
never,
thing to do.
Yeah,
Yes.
even if you've never done anything courageous in your life, if that's the only thing you do, that's good enough, you know.
Yes.
And I don't know all the things that in your life where you're protecting people that you love,
Right.
and you can't talk about it
Yes.
because you don't want
Yes.
to.
But what a great way, though. If they choose, they can bring out some of these things.
Right. And Blazine, she picked the gold balls, not for her own cancer. The gold symbolizes childhood cancer, which is a cause that she works and has been really, really involved with for years and years.
I
So
see.
she picked the gold balls, which I thought were just fun as heck to paint.
Yes.
They were really, really fun.
Okay, well, some of your past shows, before we get into the next book, you were just in a show down by the Cincinnati area.
The
Manifest
yes,
Gallery.
The Manifest Gallery.
You were out there. And this woman is also, I want to say, because you're too modest, I'm sure, she has won 7 best of shows in only a 2.5, 3-year period.
Yeah, over the past couple of years.
So that is quite impressive. Very, very nice. And we all sometimes we go, oh no, Judy Takács. But yep, we do love you. We love you. And she's too nice to hate. So I would never hate you. What else can we look at now?
Okay. Well, I guess the whole Chicks with Balls, the whole Chicks with Balls concept, it's the different stories that that really intrigued me. One of the most interesting things, I knew that when I was doing the Chicks with Balls, I knew that I'd have to put some self-portraits in there.
Okay.
And so my first,
Yes, because you can't ask these lovely people to come out.
Without doing it myself, and without maybe going a little bit further, because they're coming out of their comfort zones. Most of my friends, most of these are not art people. Actually, Arabella behind me, it totally is. But most of my suburban middle-class friends are not art people. So they've always thought it was a little odd that I do life drawing, which I've done that religiously for 30 years.
This is the Midwest.
I sign up for life drawing. I paint the nude. It's one of the basic art things.
Well, she graduated from the Cleveland Institute of Art.
Yes,
So you
back
were
in
always
1986.
Yeah, 86.
Yeah,
always a lover of just painting real people.
Yeah, and it's always been people. So for my self-portrait, I knew that I had to go a little further. I didn't want to totally bear it all because that is just a little bit further than I wanted to go. But what I did do was show my nice big overflowing belly that has, pushed 3 children out.
Yes.
But I'm covered up. And also the subtext is I don't have any balls yet. So the process of Chicks with Balls is me growing a pair as well.
And you're growing right along with your subjects, so I think it's just fine.
Yeah.
You're on the same timetable as they are.
Yes.
But quickly, too, your inspiration, now you have mentioned that you're from the Midwest in Ohio, and sometimes we're shy to view certain pieces of art. But who was one of your inspiring ladies in the past?
Oh, well, okay, Rose Franson. One of the sort of pivotal moments or pivotal times with this project was when I went to the Portrait Society, which now a couple of years later I'm on the board of the Cecilia Beau Forum, which is the Portrait Society subset that deals with women in the arts. But a couple of years ago, I went to my first Portrait Society conference, saw Rose Franson, who had done a massive portrait painting project in her hometown.
Yes.
Where she had 180 people.
Where is this, Iowa?
Yes, Makokata, Iowa. She had her hometown city hall was her studio, and she had people from her town sign up to come and pose 5 hours at a time, and she would complete an alla prima head and shoulder.
Which means all at once. She would paint all at once, one sitting.
12 by 12 painting of 180 different people. Whoever it was, they came, they sat, she painted.
Great.
And it's just sort of like this baptism by fire.
Did she pay them as she was going?
She did not pay them,
but
she
volunteered.
did give them, yes, they all volunteered, and she gave them a nice giclée of their painting as sort of thank you. And their paintings are now, they're all displayed together, I want to say at the Cedar Falls, Iowa Art Museum. They're getting together money so that they can have a permanent display there.
And I want to say, too, this is how one gets better. You can't get better about reading about art or taking just an occasional class. You have to do it and be passionate.
Yes.
And in this case, she did it every day, and just
and
as you are.
That just, it's like exercising. It's like, when you train for being a runner, all that.
Yes.
So when I saw that she did that, she's my age, or a little bit younger than me, but she's my age. She's from the Midwest. She's not from New York. She did this hometown, wholesome, grand exercise in painting people, painting people, painting people. And I was like, you know what? I can do something along those lines.
You can.
And so, Chicks with Balls is not the exact same thing, but it does sort of embrace that Midwestern.
It fits your lifestyle.
Right, exactly.
Let's talk about Pam.
Okay. So Pam is the painting that's behind you. And this one right here, it's kind of interesting because it's a double portrait that goes both ways.
She's upside down.
Yes, and she's upside down both ways. Here, I'll start at the beginning. When Pam posed for me, she was going through a divorce at the time, and there were so many things in her life. She chose to use these playground balls that you find in the ball pits at Chuck E. Cheese. I had a big bag of them, and she wanted to have them cascading out of her arms, overflowing and falling out of her arms. It's like these ones. And it's really difficult to stand and hold that many of them. So I had her sit at a table, and they were just like overflowing, but they kept rolling away and kept rolling away. And so she kept grabbing them. She was cracking up laughing. I mean, it was a very fun little experience that we had because she posed on the spur of the moment.
But you found, now this is what I love about you and your painting, you found within the fact that the balls were flowing away. Instead of saying, oh my goodness, what are we going to do? You made the painting and the storyline similar to her real life story.
Yes.
She had to keep
that way,
gathering, whether it was through divorce, raising children, always moving. She has quite a story.
Right.
And you incorporated that so beautifully.
Right.
And with a little bit of whimsy.
Right. Well, it's this whole life unfolding with the art happening. And this was during a photo shoot because this was not where she was sitting there posing from life for me, because that would take way, way, way longer.
Yes.
But the balls kept cascading out, and she kept putting them back in. And through the course of this, hour-long photo shoot, the balls she had put them into this nice, beautiful, symmetrical pattern. And this really was how she put them. I didn't make this up. And I saw that as very symbolic of how her life was going to go through the course of this, now beginning of 2-year divorce process.
And as an artist, you have to look for these creative moments. You see real life in short little snippets and to capture that.
Right.
I want to say one more thing before we go on to this lovely lady in pink behind us. I so don't want to run out of time. I like how you said in your book that when you first founded this project, you realized, okay, if I'm going to have fun with people, I'm going to have to learn how to paint smiles and giggles and crinkles in the eye and a head back laughing. And so was that a challenge for you?
Yes, it was. It was difficult. I had to do a lot of research for that. I had to find paintings that inspire me that have really well painted smiles.
Now there's a name. Isn't there a 17th century name?
Frans Hals.
There's a name for that gestural.
Oh,
I can't think of what it is.
I don't know. Now you're quizzing me, and I don't know.
No, and I don't know either. I was name dropping one time, and now I've since forgotten.
But yeah, I looked at Frans Hals, who has some good smiles, but not all good smiles. Some of them aren't as good as I would have liked.
Yeah.
And Norman Rockwell has some good ones too. But even there's not a lot of inspiration out there for smiling and laughter.
No, you're right. You're right.
So it was tricky, and some of my earlier ones aren't as good as some of my later ones.
Well,
that's another
because you
process
are getting better.
Yeah.
But who is this
dancing
lady? I don't know if the camera can pick up the shoes. She is stunning. Now,
Arabella.
I have to say on Facebook, if you follow Judy, and maybe they should, because I learn a whole lot about other artists. Judy posts and keeps us all current with what's going on in the art world. But you were teasing us with just little pieces of her shoes.
Yes, that's one of the things I've been doing with Instagram now, because I now have one of those, modern phones. It's in the car because I don't want it to ring here. But I do little snippets as I'm painting things, and I figure it's a way to sort of build up excitement without having to have huge announcements all the time.
Right. It's like stay tuned.
Yeah, exactly. And Arabella was also one of the first ones in round 2 to pose for me. You can tell the difference between round 2 paintings and round 1, because the round 1 all have white backgrounds, and the round 2 have colored backgrounds. And
now I've noticed, because I've known you throughout the years, you are getting more daring with color. You used to be very sepia tone-ish. Am I saying that right?
But yes, people think that just because you do flesh tones, it's monochromatic. There's really a lot of color going on in there. I mean, I have a full palette. I just don't have, bright, splashy greens all over the place and sort of colors that are not facial colors. But there really is a lot of color going on in there. But with the colored backgrounds, it kind of makes it obvious that, she's using a lot of color.
I see. Okay.
And so with Arabella, one of her situations, and I don't want to keep going with the cancer stuff, but Arabella has a very rare form of congenital cancer, which has taken a bone in her leg.
I see.
Which is why she has this very stylish cane.
I do see the beautiful scar.
And she can no longer she's no longer allowed to, by her doctors, wear those beautiful shoes that she has. But she wore them for the shoot because she wanted to wear them for the shoot. And she's gone through all kinds. She's very young, and she's a phenomenal artist.
Is she?
She paints. Yes. Arabella Proffer. You can follow her and find her all over the internet. She writes a blog. She paints these iconic portraits of people that you don't know, but she makes up the people, and then she writes up made-up stories about them. And they're like these, sort of kind of gruesome. Medieval.
I bet you two had a hoot
princesses.
together.
Yes. Yeah, we had a very fun
I see
posing
another
session.
Co-authoring book coming along the way, possibly. You do a lot of work with hands. Now, many good artists paint, and they paint beautifully. I was just at a show 2 days ago, and the woman painted beautifully. But I didn't admire her hands. I did not admire. Maybe she just chose to, or didn't have a need to put the hands in. But you seem to just chase after hands and toes.
And I overdo hands.
That's okay.
One of the situations, this one right here is one of my newer portraits. This is Cathy, who's actually been on Artists at Work maybe a few months ago.
Cathy Rogers.
Cathy Rogers, exactly. And she posed for me for Chicks with Balls because she's a amazing Chicks with Balls. Her laundry list is quite huge.
Yes, and she's a very accomplished.
I haven't even put out the blog yet, but I guess by the time this airs, the blog will be out there. But I loved working on her hands, and most of the people when you're holding the balls, your hands have to clutch a little bit. Your hands have to be a little bit active, and it makes them so interesting. And most of the women that I paint, they don't have these sort of delicate little amorphous child hands that are all smooth.
Why do you think that is?
Because we're a little bit older.
Oh.
We're a little bit older, and our hands do work. I mean,
Well, I know
they've done all kinds
Cathy
of
right
things.
now is doing carpentry work. She's helping her husband build part of their house.
And she's a phenomenal artist too. So she's an artist. She helps build the house. She cares for her daughter with cerebral palsy. Her mother lives with her with a stroke. She has a laundry list like nobody's. But her hands were clutching the beach balls, and you know, they were just really fun to work on.
That's beautiful.
So I'll do a zoom in on the hands.
Yes, very nice. I wanted to say too, you said something very interesting that I think any artist should know if they're wanting to put their work into a show, whether it's juried or just an open call. In your book, you said you didn't fear rejection as much as you feared indifference.
Yes.
Explain that.
Yes. Well,
I like that
okay,
quote.
rejection, you know, fine. That's here. Somebody's actually looked at it and cared enough to hate it or like it. Indifference means I put it out there and people walk by and it's no big deal. Like
Yes.
it doesn't create a stir. It doesn't captivate anybody.
Yeah.
It doesn't. It's background.
It's just neutral,
Right.
like wallpaper.
And the flip side to having something be noticeable is that maybe people don't buy it to hang it in their homes, because when you're home, sometimes you want things to just sit back in the background. You don't want the painting to be like, oh my, or whatever. What is that?
Right.
But in the larger context of art and in museums, you know, the better art is noticeable, and it stops you in your tracks.
Exactly. And I've heard many jurors say, when they're selecting, okay, this is the no pile, this is the maybe pile, and this is the yes pile, when they go back again, they have to be intrigued. They may not know right off the forefront, what is it that I like about this painting? But if a painting calls you in and you have to ponder it and look at it, right there, that says something. Now, it may not be executed in the best way, but if it calls you in, that's an interest point. And yours certainly call us in. They call me in.
Thank you.
So what else can we look at here?
All right, well, let's see. My mother-in-law posed for me. So my mother-in-law actually has a very difficult life herself.
Yes.
She cares for her husband, who has had MS now and has been wheelchair-bound for the past 20 years.
This is Linda, the grandma.
And this is Linda. She's grandmother of my three kids, my three boys. And what she chose, because she said this was the weirdest thing that she's ever done. And she chose a huge ball to cover herself, which is what I suspected a lot of people would do. They would just choose a huge ball.
Yeah. But I like the large and the small up in the air. Why is she holding this one up in the air?
She chose the huge ball to symbolize Harry, who is her beloved husband, but he requires round-the-clock care and has been this major thing in her life for forever.
And she does not look that old.
And she's not. She's young. She's young, and she's young at heart. She's very cheerful and happy. And the little yellow ball, she chose this herself. She looked at it as like how small her own identity is compared to his very large presence. I flipped it around and I asked her to hold the ball up high, because I feel like in fact, this is the yellow little ball. I felt like she was the sunshine of his life.
You know what?
She
in
was
reading
this
that,
glowing,
it brought tears to my eyes.
positive presence that is basically the only person that cares for him round the clock, 100%. And she's super important.
So she is pouring her life out into Harry's.
Yeah.
And she is that wonderful spot of sunlight.
Yeah. So that was another
one of
my stories.
Don, can we meet Karina and Kim?
Yes. Okay. Now
this is a fascinating
this is
story.
A sort of this is like we could sit here for the whole half. Oh,
well, guess what?
We've got 5 minutes.
We have 4 to 5 minutes. We've got oodles of time.
Basically, I've known Karina since my husband and I were best friends with her and her husband back 25 years ago in med school. And Karina's been a really good friend of ours. And
this is Karina.
She married Mike, who was Scott's best buddy in med school, and they moved to New York. We moved to North Carolina, and we kind of lost touch. Over the past 10 years or so, she had gotten divorced from Mike, but they still had a very amicable relationship. So that was, and I was still friends with Karina, and I went to I went to New York and visited
visited
her
with
one
her.
time, and she posed for me, and it was wonderful.
And
it was
then
really fun.
how did Kim come along?
Well, then, okay, at the same time that she posed for me, it was at the same trip I met Mike had remarried and had a baby, and the new baby was with his new wife Kim. And so, you know, everything was wonderful. They were having their great life. Karina was having a great life. She was starting a wallpaper company. You know, things were going really well.
And two wives, and they both...
Very shortly afterwards, Mike, who was the common husband, was diagnosed with stomach cancer. I hate to keep getting back to the cancer thing, but it's so pervasive.
But this is a sweet story, even though he did pass away.
He did pass away, and Kim, you know, with a 2-year-old, and Kim stood up at his funeral and talked at his funeral and thanked everybody for being there. And the thing is, both of them are wonderful, wonderful people, and they had this huge thing in common. They had never met until the deathbed.
They're now friends.
And now they're friends. They both hang out with little Miles, who's now 4 and 5, and they have this great relationship. They both came to the Chicks with Balls show at Bayards. They're going to come to Pennsylvania for when the Chicks with Balls shows go.
That's wonderful.
So like
your
chicks building friendships.
Yes, and they both went out of the way. They're friends, and you have kind of brought that together through your paintings.
Yeah, I hope there's a little piece of Chicks with Balls that helped
so
that.
there is a mission with your artwork, because I noticed on the last page of your book, you talked about all of this. You can bring a gap into Ohio in our community, and just to encourage the arts in a fun way, in a meaningful way, also.
To get people into galleries where otherwise they would never go if there wasn't a show called Chicks with Balls.
Right. You have upcoming shows too. Let's hold up your next painting.
Yes, this is one of the new paintings right here. This one is Kim Matee, who's a jewelry artist, who I'm actually wearing some earrings of hers.
She's local, Chagrin Falls.
She is, yes. And she chose yarn balls, like these fancy alpaca yarn balls. And so now, moving forward, I'm getting a little bit more, I guess, out of the box with the ball portraits.
Yeah, the yarn.
Yes, yeah. Her yarn balls were fancier ones than that. But I'm just getting a little bit more creative with it.
Yes.
So that's how I'm moving forward. And the next show right now, which I'm not sure when this is going to air, but it's in Pennsylvania, Nanticoke, Pennsylvania, at the Lucerne County Community College.
Yes.
And then in October 2015, we're coming back to Tri-C Gallery East.
With the
in
new
Highland
Chicks and
Hills
Balls.
with all the Chicks with Balls,
Okay,
and it's such a huge space.
Tri-C Gallery East, we can be there.
October 2015.
All right, 1 year from now, but in the meantime, people can look you up on Facebook, and your blog will be
Chicks
showed.
with Balls, judytakas.blogspot.com. And then my website is judytakaspaintspeople.com. And then I'm on Facebook, Judy Takács Artist.
I do want to say, and I'm not going to ask you where do you see yourself in 20 years, because I know you will still be painting wherever, whether it's New York, Ohio, or Iowa with Rose Francis.
We have a nice studio here.
Yes, you have a very nice. So we're out of time, and I hope that
I'll
you're
leave
not
you with the
upset
parting
with me.
shot.
This is, look over here.
My final racy self-portrait.
Her final racy portrait. Goodbye.
Which you have to tune into Cable 9 to see.
Yes, goodbye. Thank you for coming. Ta-ta, everybody.